Well, I'm Josina Anderson alongside with Betway, and I am joined by two legendary Cleveland Browns. First and foremost, we're going to start with the seven-time Pro Bowler, Alex Mack, who was with the Cleveland Browns from 2009 to 2015. And of course, Joshua Cribbs, the three-time Pro Bowler who was with the Cleveland Browns from 2005 to 2012. And I appreciate you all joining me. How are you all?
Doing really good. Thanks for having us on. I'm excited.
Absolutely.
Well, you guys know it's been a crazy NFL year, but before we get into all that, I want to talk about your time with the Cleveland Browns, obviously a storied franchise. I'm going to start with you, Josh. If you can just tell me what it meant for you to be a Cleveland Brown.
Well, when I first was able to make the football team as an undrafted free agent, we watched a video geared towards the tradition and the history of the Cleveland Browns because I'm from Washington, D.C. I knew of the Browns, but definitely not the history. I only knew about Jim Brown and some bits and pieces here and there, but playing nearby at Kent State University and then having the opportunity to go right down the road to the Cleveland Browns, understanding the fan base, the history, the winning tradition that the organization had, and trying to attempt to bring that back for the fans in Cleveland was monumental and my number one goal as a Cleveland Browns player.
Now, Alex, you are born and bred out of California, and here you are getting drafted in the first round by a very cold city in Cleveland Brown. So just tell me what you were thinking about that in terms of just, one, the transition and climate, but two, obviously coming there as well.
Yeah, I mean, you get drafted, you are just beyond over the moon excited to join, anybody. And you just, the whole draft process, not knowing where you're going to live, what you're going to do, and then to finally have that's sorted and then figure out where you're going to live and get excited about that. I remember playing with all my friends the Cleveland Rock song, like just in a circle, like absolutely beyond belief excited. And then I think the winter and what Cleveland actually is dawned on me in season. I was like, oh man, this is kind of tough, but I loved it. I thought I got off the plane after being drafted and the TSA agent like stopped, turned and pointed at me. I was like, you're Alex Mack, you're our first round pick.
That's right.
And like, just like the dedication and how much the people of Ohio just absolutely loved the Browns was like, right as I got off the plane, they were just ecstatic to have me. And so that was really cool to walk into because, California, there's so much going on. There's nice weather. There's all these things. And people don't really care about football as much. And so you go to Cleveland and they are all the time interested, knowing about the Browns. And that's a love and hate kind of relationship because we weren't always the most successful. So people would definitely speak their minds about it. But really, everyone cared. Everyone wanted the team to win. They were excited about what went on. And to have that chance to move to Midwest and really get that true football environment was really some of the best years of my life.
Now, Josh, I'm also from the DMV, so we're used to having 4 different seasons. However, Cleveland can get pretty cold. So I'm just saying for you, how did you deal with that? Because I reported some games over there and it can get pretty chilly. How was that for you?
Well, you know what? I didn't like the cold much. I don't know who enjoys freezing temperatures and having to play football with barely nothing on. But for me, it was exciting. Playing in the NFL is a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I knew when it was, 20 degrees outside, 10 below, whatever, this was not the norm. It wasn't going to be the norm. And hey, it's not going to happen again. This is going to be a memory that I have. And I made sure when I went out there, I had fun, just like I was a kid playing in the snow. So I try to have that mentality with it because we're paid very well to play in all type of conditions. And that's what we sign up for.
Alex, speaking of your fondest memory too, you had the opportunity as well to play alongside Joe Thomas. Can you talk about what that was like for you?
Oh, playing with Joe was great. I mean, it was just so lucky. Joe he was 2 years in front of me. He already made 2 Pro Bowls. young player with a lot of success. And so to walk into that O-line room and have a guy like Joe to really learn from, now different positions kind of, but just to see the way he handled business, what he would do to be successful. Another person to talk to that had a lot of success. I owe a lot of my success to Joe, just because he was such a great role model of a teammate, such a great dude, great friend to this day. But just to welcome you to the team, to have somebody to teach you the ropes. He got me into hunting as I was out there. So a great way to interact with the rest of Ohio. Met a lot of good friends through Joe. It was a great time.
Yeah. And, obviously Cleveland is a place that has a lot of character, has been through a lot. And even before we kind of get to the difference in just compiling the individual accolades that you all did versus, the team results, Josh, I just wanted to ask you what it was like for you, at least, especially not only as an undrafted free agent, but just in terms of the evolution of your career, being able to finish as the all-time leader in 7 different categories when it comes to punt returning and kick returning for the franchise.
Yeah, and I just wanted to be the best. For me, it was rededicating myself to the sport. We weren't the top team, most years. We had, in my tenure with the team, we had 1 winning season, 10-6, and still didn't go to the playoffs because we had to deal with Baltimore, who was 11-5, and the Steelers, who was 12-4. So it was a tough road to make it to the playoffs. However, for myself in an individual standpoint, I had to look at who was the top returner. So I had a guy opposite me in the other division, Devin Hester. I used to look at his stats and say, I got to outdo that. And playing like that got me to be in the Pro Bowl opposite him. Playing, whoever was the top returner, whoever was the top, because we would switch every week. If he would score, he'd be number 1. If I would score, I would be back up there. Jacoby, it was a lot of these returners, and I'm watching it because I'm trying to have this personal success, which in turn helped my team out. So I'm trying to be the best. If I could just be the best me, that would give my team the best opportunity to win. And then because of the nature of the NFL, I would have done my job and I would have been safe. And we took great pride. We would lose it. And I talked to other people about this. And I wonder what Alex Mack would think about this. We would lose as a team, but we would have so much success on special teams. So we would be down. But then as soon as the special teams meeting come, we like, hey, we crushed them on special teams. Yes, sir. And be dapping each other up. And that's what we found solace in. The fact that their special teams couldn't touch us. We did our job to help our team win. And we celebrated that each victory that we would have because we had to find them without a team victory. Josie, look, without a team victory, we had to celebrate every victory we could get as a unit.
Yes, I know there were some lean years. And speaking of that, lastly, Alex,
sorry, can I cut you off?
Please, go ahead.
I wanted to add something to that.
Yes, please.
Josh, I remember we talked earlier about like our favorite memories. I think one of my favorite ones was my rookie year. We played Kansas City, and I was on the kickoff team at that kickoff return wedge.
Yes.
I think you had like 2 returns for a touchdown. And
yes.
we ended up winning the game because we had 2 touchdowns on the kickoff return. And because of that, we were able to keep running the ball as an offense. So we set like that record for like most yards in a game, like on the ground.
Most rushing yards. Yep. Jerome Harris.
Only because we didn't have to throw the ball because we had 2 kickoff return touchdowns. It was
That's why I broke the record. Yes, I broke the record. With the first return, I broke the most kick return touchdowns in NFL history, and then the second one, I broke my own record. So I remember that. I didn't know that was your rookie year. Absolutely, appreciate that. Yes, sir.
Oh, and I love that y'all's memories kind of cross intersect like that as far as what sticks out in your mind. And as we wrap up here too, Alex, I just wanted to ask you, as far as when it comes to balancing the individual versus the team too. You were a 7-time Pro Bowler, so for you, what stood out to you as far as the one integral thing that you did to have that level of individual success, and then how you balance that as far as your mindset with attaining that versus also how the team was doing, particularly in those lean years?
Yeah, I mean, I think because we had a lot of trouble, I think that helped make myself and like the O-line room better, because you'd come in every week and you'd try your ass off, and you just work and work and work, go out to the game, you'd lose, and then you'd have to see why and get better, because whatever it wasn't good enough. So did you play perfectly? No. Okay, well, I need to get better. And so you do that after so many years, you can really hone and craft yourself and try to do everything you can to help the team win. And the big question mark throughout my whole tenure at Cleveland was who the quarterback's going to be, because it was just a carousel. And all right, well, you need to help this guy out. Whoever it's going to be, let's see if we can get the run game going better. Let's see if we can protect a little bit longer. What do we need to do to just get that little bit better? And as an O-line room and as a personal player, I think that really helped us get better. And so I'd say my time in Cleveland definitely forged me to be the best player possible.
So I'm Josina Anderson with Betway, and we are back with Joshua Cribbs and Alex Mack. And guys, right now I want to talk about the fan bases in Cleveland. As you know, every fan base is very spirited. I know that from traveling around the country covering all of them. But I'm curious, Alex, what comes to mind when you first are asked to describe the characteristics of the Cleveland fan base?
I mean, the dog pound is the first thing that comes to mind, and just the diehard nature of the fans of Cleveland through thick and thin, showing up in terrible weather, packing the stadium, absolutely making a ruckus. It was amazing. I mean, it's probably what defines that team is the fan base and the like gritty nature of the city, and just through thick and thin in an outdoor stadium, packing the place. That is just so big, but really, like, it goes beyond just the stadium. I talked earlier about the TSA agent who was a diehard Browns fan as I first walked on the team, like knew the roster by heart as soon as the draft happened. I remember when I showed up for OTAs, my dad actually had he went to Baldwin Wallace over there by Berea. It was his like 20-year reunion or something. And we were able to go to OTAs together, and we went downtown to the stadium, and the security guard recognized me and allowed us to come in and see the stadium and like walk in and like, oh, like, come on in. Yeah. Like, he opened the gate for us and walked in there and got to see the stadium for the first time. And that it was just cool. I mean, it just shows you that the people in the city are the fans, and they're everywhere, and they care about the team and do whatever they can to support their Browns.
And I'm going to ask you the same thing, Josh. What comes to mind when you think about the Cleveland families? Because you've done some teams here. So what about Cleveland?
You know what? Alex hit it on the head. I don't think you can do that at any other, fan base where you can come to a team, and I'm gonna tell you this: we beat the Steelers. We have lost every game, but if we beat them, all is right in the universe. They invited us to the Cavs game. We sat on the floor seats. Right. I mean, when I tell you, put us on a jumbotron at the basketball arena and at the baseball. They buy your meals. Look, we millionaires, Josie. Look, we're millionaires. They buy our food. I can ask a police officer to walk me into any concert. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm trying to Cribs. Oh, that's Cribs. Oh, come on, man. You ain't got to wait in this line. Police officer walk me right in. And to their credit, police officers in this city will get in trouble. Like, oh, y'all can't treat the players like that. And everywhere we go, we have to kind of explain ourselves as well. So it's a double-edged sword. Our fans live and die with the season. And that's why they've nicknamed it Believe Land as well. Because as bad as we've ever been, as we always are sometimes, they believe that next year is our year.
So Alex, Josh is sitting there talking to, and you as well, just about, how spirited they are and how good the Cleveland fan base is. But I want to talk about the other sides too, because you all mentioned adversity in the previous segment there. So can you talk about how much they let how things were when things were not going well in terms of, just the adversity, or how critical they can be. And not only that, Alex, but in comparison to other fan bases, whether it be like Jets Twitter or Eagles Twitter, or some of the ones that can really get on a team when things are not going well, Alex.
Yeah, they let you know. They let you know if they were not happy. It made you work hard. I also didn't really want to. If you played bad and you let a big game down, maybe you didn't go to that Bieber concert.
Right.
I mean, you
Absolutely.
just you did it because you knew everyone cared, and the town really would be behind on your side. And if you messed up, they would let you know it, but they wouldn't quit. So it made me want to work harder. It made me really want to for a town that needs this. It's what they live for. You really would put in that extra work for your town, for your team, for your city. And that, I think that helped motivate. I think it was a lot of the Believeland kind of ethos where you'd buy in. The season would start and you wouldn't know who the quarterback was, but you'd be like, yeah, this is our year. It doesn't matter who's the quarterback. We're gonna make it work. And, it didn't always turn out that way, but you would put the work in, and Cleveland has a long history of producing tons of talent. Players go there and they play well. They may not stay on that team, but they'll have long careers of tons of success. It's just, I think the pieces are close where they're going to tie it all together. And I think the city and the ownership is behind that group to really have long lasting success. They're just going through some tough times.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I gotta,
yeah, go ahead,
Josie, I gotta hop in there. When we talk about the other side of the fan base, I remember I went to, before the game, on the way to the game, I stopped past a tailgate just to say hey. And we lost that game. And I remember hearing on the radio, yeah, and Cribs was having drinks and partying before the game, and we wonder why we can't win a game. And it's just, we live and die by the fan base. So they will run coaches, quarterbacks out of here. That's why you see that jersey with all the quarterbacks on there.
Yeah.
Because our fan base will say, we need somebody else. They'll start chanting for the backup. And that's the fan base. They pay tickets.
Well, I'm Josina Anderson, back here with Josh Cribbs and Alex Mack, and the Browns right now trying to go through a little bit of an up and down year right now, 7-9, last in the AFC North, but they did start off 2-0 and started off with some promise, not ending up where they want to be. But at the end of the day, guys, what stands out to me is that it's still a lot better in comparison to some of the seasons from yesteryear. So, Alex, what kind of stands out to you about this season?
I mean, I would have killed to have 7-9. A great year. Oh my God. Promise. I think you all take it with a grain of salt as well. There's a lot of promise there. The starting QB was out half the year. That's not really what you want. That could turn a couple of games around. I think the other thing that I always contended with my whole career there was just at the same time when we were trying to be good, the Ravens were as dominant as they've ever been. The Steelers had an unreal, incredible team. It's just the AFC North is such an incredible division. It makes it really, really tough. The Ravens right now, the Bengals are on the up and up. The Steelers are a great franchise, and this was their probably worst season in a long time. It's just tough to be good when you face 6 of your games are absolute brawlers, and there's hard to do that with a quarterback that's who's your quarterback, and it's just they've done really well this season. It's a tough year. They had, the quarterback thing would take a step back. I think looking into next season with one quarterback with a whole off season of productivity, they could really hit the ground running.
And you know what, Josh, too, that one thing that does stand out to me is just the performance of Jacoby Brissett. I mean, I know coming into the season, general manager Andrew Berry had told me he felt like he was one of the top, backup options in the NFL. But when you look at the game that he ended on before they switched over to Deshaun Watson, that went over the Bucs 23-17 in OT, and he got a lot of accolades as far as at least how the press was talking about him, particularly in that game, and just how he handled the whole situation. Talk to me too about just the impression that Jacoby Brissett made on you.
Oh, he made an excellent, just the expectation started to grow each and every game. So we saw this backup mature into a starter, and that's how it is in the NFL, usually through injury though. Usually a guy get hurt, next man up, and then that's your chance to become a superstar, i.e. Tom Brady. When Drew Bledsoe went down, that's what gave Tom Brady his goal. So when you look at a guy like Jacoby Brissett, who came in and he still has this great football team with arguably one of the greatest running backs that Cleveland has, and in the NFL with one of the top receiving cores or receivers, and Amari Cooper, and you look at a great offensive line that they had, and you say, this is a no-brainer. This team is going to do well. So each week, Jacoby Brissett, you looked at his stats and they were among the top when it came to starters. So his expectation grew. And yes, they didn't have the team, the season, that and the record that they wanted. But like Alex said, we would have killed to be that. We'd have been riding high. This is a different Browns team. And the expectation has went through the roof.
When you look about the Browns and moving forward, what do you think about Kevin Stefanski in terms of his leadership, and whether you feel like he embodies everything to not only just get them to where they are, but to take them to where they need to go? Because that's two different levels, though.
Yeah, I think the piece, in my tenure there, I think the piece that was missing was just the stability. We would always change coaches, we change GMs. I think Stefanski has done enough to prove that you got to stick with him for the next 5 years and have that in, go with that, run with this coach, let him do the work, develop that talent. They've got the core pieces there. Is Deshaun Watson the answer? And can you build around that and improve everything around there and then hit the ground running from there? I think the number one thing they should do is promote stability, re-sign the core players. I mean, they got an incredible offensive line. They have 2 incredible running backs. They have talent wide receiver. They have a quarterback that's had a lot of success now. They have probably the best pass rusher in the NFL. They've got a lot of pieces there. And I think when you go from that mid-range team to really a top tier team is when you have stability and you just keep getting a little bit better every year. And then you hit the ground and have that push. I think they're on the doorstep.
So you all know, with the Cleveland Browns being a part of the AFC, one of the things that you have to do is, at least with the current members of that team, is constantly face really great quarterbacks, whether it be Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, to Joe Burrow, who you mentioned, Alex Mack and Josh, and just in talking about the Bengals as well. So can you guys just talk to me about just the thoroughness of the competition, particularly at that position, and the gauntlet that you have to do just to get out of the conference, Alex?
Yeah, the conference is the major problem. I mean, you want the conference to be as terrible as possible to guarantee yourself some wins, and that's unfortunate for the Browns, just because everyone in that division is just top class. And then the whole AFC has some incredible teams. Like the Chiefs have been dominant for, I don't know, 5 years now. I mean, there's just not any cupcakes in the AFC. It's just a real problem.
Yeah, we tried to get an Aaron Rodgers. We snuck a bid in. We tried to get a Russell Wilson. You know, we tried to make ourselves, Andrew Berry did, try to make ourselves a contender. So that's what we believe we have in Deshaun Watson. He gives our football team the ability to be a contender on paper because we have to get out of this division. That's first. You can look at the Buccaneers right now at 8-8, clinching their division at 8-8. What? 500? Come on.
Can you talk about just the evolution of a Myles Garrett and the impact on this defense, and maybe perhaps where you would like to see him, you know, kind of take it to the next step as a leader and getting this franchise to the next level with Deshaun Watson?
I just think Myles Garrett is possibly one of the most talented pass rushers, you know, of this, you know, generation. Luckily, I'm a center and never had to, you know, block the edge and like keep them out there and like make them the problem of the tackle. But you know, from what I've watched of Myles, like he's just an incredible talent, and you absolutely have to double team that guy. I think that should open up a lot of opportunity for all the other players on that defense to really have those one-on-one matchups that, you know, they always die for. It's unfortunate for Myles that he's going to get double teamed all the time, but I think he can step up to the plate and really draw that attention, still be a handful, and you really let all those other positions. Also, if I was going to be a free agent, I'd want to play on the same defense as Myles, just because I know that they can't double team me then.